CPP is a compulsory program. It would be analogous to Social Security. Every working Canadian contributes to it. And it's a promise. It's a promise that when that money comes off your paycheck every couple of weeks, when you retire, there will be something that will allow you to live in dignity when you retire. At a time when you're most vulnerable in life, that you can count on this to be there and to be there as long as you live. We at the organization internally, we really do try to drive everything we do towards the purpose of the organization, knowing that it is probably the most unifying aspect of the organization, and externally going back to who is the ultimate client customer. It's the 22 million working and retired Canadians, and ensuring that we keep communicating our dedication to the purpose. People need to know how their money is invested. We've gone as far as doing public service announcements in Canada. And people do ask questions, this is a compulsory program. Why are you doing public service announcements through social media or through other forms of media?
I love that.
And say it's because we need people, we're just trying to push them to the website. And this is going to be a pretty important part of people's financial security and retirement. And people need to become informed. And it's really trying to drive financial literacy. So not only are we really disclosing, we disclose every position in the portfolio, despite the fact that that generates criticism for us. And then we actually proactively try to engage with stakeholders, both at the government level, but with the Canadians, and to drive traffic in through our website where we're providing that transparency. I do believe that most investors, whether they admit it or not, incorporate ESG into investment decisions. And take governance, the G. Say, don't invest in a company that doesn't have a board of directors.
Yes.
On the S, don't invest in a company that uses child labor. On the E, don't invest in a company that dumps toxic waste into rivers. And we were quite explicit, we will incorporate ESG into investment decision making. But again, my personal perspective and how the organization thinks about it is, ESG is something that every organization needs to decide where they're going to calibrate on each one of those dimensions. They need to reflect on what they're solving for, what their purpose is, what their objective is, and decide where they're going to calibrate. We are a big investor in the energy transition and renewables. We're also a really big investor in oil and gas.
Yes.
And continue to invest in oil and gas and continue to believe it's important to support the conventional energy sector to transition. We all know in this business that things go bump in the night. We all know that there's times when things aren't going to work out. And we know that in a portfolio, there'll be some things that are working really well and some things that aren't. And what we all ask for, and I think it's kind of expected, is that bad news travels fast. And I think where we have been disappointed, and it's probably caused real damage to the longer term relationship, is when performance has not just been open and honest. And when things go bump in the night, that we don't hear about it. Especially if we have a co-investment or some type of increased financial position in the investment. And I think that is where the team gets very frustrated, and that has probably been one of the causes where we've moved on from certain relationships where we just feel there's not enough transparency. Is when things go bad, which they periodically do. I actually do believe that within Canada, CPP would be viewed as probably one of the most trusted brands in the country.
That's true.
I think it's viewed as an organization that has essentially kind of, to date, met kind of the promise that's been made to people.
Yeah.
And I think there's two things that are very emotional for people. Well, there's more than two, but there's healthcare and pensions are very emotional. And I think anytime public policy drifts into healthcare or drifts into pensions, it gets emotional very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And for CPP to have we're celebrating our 25th year anniversary this year. We're only 25 years old. We got our first check 25 years ago for $12 million. Wow.
Oh my God. And what are you up to now?
Over $600 billion.
That's incredible. Yeah. Wow.
And of that $600 billion, over 400 of it is investment income that's compounded. And exactly what Chris mentioned, just that it's a promise to people, and everything we do is to meet that promise.